7 and 8 today. Finding Your Alignment by Tony Bomboni. Kindle and paperback, links in the top description below. Page 73, Chapter 7, Spread the Message. Having produced and edited thousands of videos over the past decade on numerous platforms, I've learned a lot about what is important to share. For example, a video you can compose which comes across as lackluster is vlogging about how bad your day was. Not only does this appear as a stressful situation, the footage provides no purpose for the viewer. If the video only shares your negative outlook on the day, then it will only lower the vibration of the person watching. People are becoming more intelligent and aware than ever before, and at a rapid rate. The days are over when one is fooled by pointless content. Movie critics are becoming harsher, commenters are pointing out every little detail in a project, and people are becoming smarter overall. Even the celebrity is being looked upon as just one of us, ignoring their illusionary world of an elevated existence, unless you know how to hypnotize someone. In today's modern era, it is exceedingly difficult to fool anyone. Back when I began making videos online, I would talk about popular movies and music videos that were recently released. I knew review videos were a popular topic, so I wanted to show the world what I had to offer, which wasn't much to start off. I knew nothing about the attributes of having a personality, portraying charisma, the entertainment industry, or even how to properly review a movie or music video. I was only ready to show myself to the public and witness feedback. I was always a reserved kid and frequently did not know how to express myself. I wanted to say something, but the words just wouldn't come out of my mouth. When I received backlash for posting amateur videos, it only inspired me to work harder and grow my success. I used that feedback to channel into my work diligently and with a hint of hope. The hope for one day that my videos would be seen to millions of people and further expand my knowledge of filmmaking. Creation was key for me at that point, and entertaining others by making them smile and laugh was my biggest motive. Still to this day, I follow some of my past outlook, and it has served me well to keen back on what my higher purpose is. Even just a decade ago, people were easily fooled. Random and effortlessly produced content such as my movie reviews were picking up some traction, and I was receiving a steady base of viewership. I genuinely had no idea how to portray myself skillfully, as I didn't like being on camera. Vivid imaginations of who must be watching behind the lens terrified me. Eventually, my videos never grew beyond what I had hoped, and I stopped to move on to make comedy. I suppose my productions were hilarious, if you were not easily offended, that is, and no one was disturbed by my videos, to be quite honest. Had I made those same videos today, I would receive a vastly different reaction, and a poor one at that. There weren't many people my age doing comedy, so it was quite a unique niche that my whole project was based upon. Eventually, the content fell apart after losing interest in making people laugh, but doing so never fully went away, as I have incorporated some of what I've taught myself about humor into my ASMR videos. Nevertheless, I've managed to hone in on exactly what people want to see and build a steady fan base out of it. Many years later, here I am, and still going at it like nobody's business. I'm not the funniest person and don't plan to be, for I quit that desire long ago. What I do now, through the power of entertainment and helping others, outweighs all my past dreams combined. Never did I expect to accomplish so much in so little time, and I acknowledge there's so much more to do. Now, what is the point in me sharing all of this with you? The answer: spreading a message. In whichever way you reacted to reading everything mentioned on the last 2 pages, that is the message I brought upon you. The power of writing is in expressing yourself for the reader to feel, not only read. If you felt inspired by what I said, then my message to you was inspiration. Even though I unconsciously intend to spread this message, it came across regardless and made you feel something to shift your vibration. The overall message I sincerely intended to come across was motivation. Inspiring others is a huge key to making people get up and move. But for this story, I wanted to help motivate you to follow whatever it is you are passionate about. I also wanted to make you aware about never sticking to something that makes you feel unhappy. Just as how I left the world of movie reviews and comedy, I want you to leave behind what no longer serves your highest fulfillment. You will just know what that is once you connect in tune to your highest aligned self. There have been many confessed mistakes in my career online, some of those which I have regretted for what felt like an eon. My past desire to be seen and spread my knowledge grew so big that my ego got in the way and did anything it could to show itself. Social media was becoming an addiction, and every single post felt like a gust of sugar and carbohydrate rushing to my veins. That wasn't enough, though, because each post would make me less satisfied with time. Before I knew it, I lost interest in sharing my life completely. Every like was no longer as satisfying and didn't provide me the satisfaction to post anymore. Ever since, I have been sharing only what is meaningful and relating to my higher plan. If the message does not pertain to this, then it doesn't become shared with people. Knowing this, why would I waste energy complaining about how bad the food tastes at a restaurant? It lowers everyone's vibrations, makes me look sour, and releases an unnecessary amount of energy that will eventually come back in a reflected format. To do with purpose is to do within your own higher acknowledgement. Knowing this now, you may perhaps be more mindful of what you share from now on. Maybe showing your delicious plate of spaghetti is no longer as necessary or fulfilling to you. Perhaps there is someone who stumbles upon your image and is hungry themselves. They can afford internet access to view your image. However, their low income cannot afford them a lavish dinner. The person viewing the plate of pasta feels sadness and a desire to eat. They get up to check what is in their pantry, only to find a couple of boxes of cereal and a macaroni and cheese cardboard box empty. Before you post something, know that there will be numerous people who agree and disagree with what you show online. In this scenario, the person sharing their plate of food wasn't aware of the individual seeing the picture and feeling sad that they cannot afford such a fine meal. Some things are out of our boundary of understanding, but hopefully this makes someone hesitate before sharing something that they may feel is a waste of energy. Perhaps the hungry person may have needed to see your picture to make themselves angry enough about their life to motivate them to do something about it. Or perhaps the picture only made them grow deeper into the abyss of sadness. Whatever the case may be, your post intends on an unconscious level to spread a message to someone. Be mindful of what this message is next time you post your life online, so that you may have a higher sense of awareness of the major impact you create. One day, post after inspiring post, circumstances may turn out in your favor to where you accumulate a large following. People will be willing to see the next thing you share, and this chain reaction creates ripples in your life, shifting not only your perspective, but the amount of power you hold within. There are flocks of people for every interest. If a vlogger, a person who creates video logs, chooses to share everything they do and build a following based upon that, then they are attracting people who share the same interests as them. Most likely, these followers want to share everything about their lives, even down to the nitty-gritty of details. They are drawn to this vlogger because they love oversharing and may even share similar interests of the vlog star. Without the person vlogging even realizing it, they are sending a message signal out to the universe which attracts like-minded fans to watch their content. The more the star posts, the more the people with shared interests follow them. It is the inevitable process of like attracts like. Without even putting effort, everything we share sends out a signal or message to the universe, which later comes back in a reflective state. We see the outcome of what we say through the message of others. When a post receives backlash, it is because the reflection of the message of that post is coming to life. When someone spreads slander online and doesn't intend to receive backfire, their hidden message behind the post comes back to show them why their posting was wrong. Through the process of learning, we are witnessing change like never in the past. Even the top-notch high-class rock stars are sometimes divulged into oblivion when they say something out of the ordinary. This cause and effect occurs when someone either chooses to do something outside of everyone's expectation of them, or because their fan base disagrees with their viewpoints. Let's say John Doe chose to start his business, thus his following, based on the belief that the earth is a simulated reality invented by Jane Doe. One day, he decides to post about how beautiful life is, and that he cannot wait to meet his creator someday when his time has come. This simple post creates a stir across his base who both equally agree and disagree with his viewpoint that there is a God when one dies. The star-crazy fans target John for falsifying information and wasting everyone's time. This is an example of a social media celeb receiving backlash for going outside of a range of beliefs or topics discussed on their platform. Albeit, it is all right to share your honest opinion. However, be careful when going too much outside of the boundaries of your audience's understanding, or they will begin to associate you for something you did not intend to come across as. It is vital not to be so fearful of this simple mistake when it comes to business-related matters, because everyone is entitled to their free will, opinion, and belief. When God's plan has you come across the time where you will need to spread your message, ensure that it is a belief you will be sticking with for a long time. I've made this mistake plentifully, where I would have clashing beliefs. I'd disagree with something I've said just a few weeks ago, and my audience would question my sudden change in opinions. Ensure that you are specific in your explanations, and the more detail, the better. Your following wants to hear and read what you have to say, so don't be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone for a bit. If acquiring massive amounts of followers just isn't your cup of tea, then keep this in mind with your simple social media page with 100 friends. Does your Aunt Becky want to read about your cupcake recipes every single day? Or is it pertinent to only you? Do you care about who reads what you have to say? Listen in on what your higher self tells you and decide what to do from there. If someone complains about your postings, just simply removing the complainer from your webpage should suffice if you don't care about building a following. No matter what comes about from any of your postings, coming across genuine is always going to be important, especially from the start. One wrong turn in the beginning of your career can make you go from a peaceful life to one of shame and punishment from your peers. There were copious situations when I would be shamed publicly and online for simple mistakes, such as talking about a rumor that was being spread around or misjudging someone's personality and belief system. They are simply human errors. However, when these slip-ups are shared with many, they can be looked down upon. I did not ever have the intention to spread a rumor that someone made up out of thin air, but suddenly someone can misunderstand you and say that you were the one creating the lie all along. I was just sharing what someone else told me to see if the rumor was truth. Getting yourself involved in someone else's business is one of the greatest reputation killers of all, so avoid it at all costs, no matter how great of an intent you had. Jumping to conclusions is another killer, and another topic that has done me more harm than good. Often better than not, when you see suspicious activity, the wisest decision is to mind your own business and move on with your affairs like nothing happened. When you see something that is not right, the best person to talk about it is a trustworthy friend or family member. I'm telling you this from years of mistakes and lessons, and I trust that you will believe me when I say this. Admittingly, it is never okay to turn a blind eye to the human in need of some help. However, one may never know when someone is ill intent. Imagine there is a man on the sidewalk who pretends to have fallen and is shouting at you for help. You run to lift him from the ground, and he quickly snaps back his arm and falls to the floor. There is a loud thump, a crack, and a hurling scream. The person that needed help is shouting that he is going to file a lawsuit against you for causing his injury. Your help suddenly turned into a crime. In this scenario, the best thing to do is walk away from the shouting man on the street. You had no expectation of this occurrence, and it wasn't your fault. However, your will to help everyone suddenly made you feel as if it was your duty to do so. Sometimes it's best for some people to help themselves. Let this be a reminder that you should only do what you are able to. If you perform your duties in the best way you can, then you are doing your fellow humanity a service. There are more than enough tasks to accomplish in a day, so some things should be left outside of your priorities. Don't ever feel the need to become a Mother Teresa and attempt to help everyone. It is outside of everyone's reach, and we are not in heaven yet. Your time to truly help will come once you are done with your duty here. Your vision, light, and connection with humankind is what will help others and serve a higher aligned purpose. The ultimate vocation comes true once you realize that everyone has a light inside of them waiting to be shown brightly. We are all able to connect with one another, and a message with the right intent at heart is key to guiding others into this light. Maintaining your vision of this will keep you in constant connection to your fellow humans and help ignite the fire within others. Everything is connecting now as we approach the end of this subject. The words vision, light, connection, message, and fire were used numerous times before to give you broader perspective on their definitions. I wanted you to gain insight as to what these words really mean, and once you come across them again, to be able to comprehend their true purpose. When you see a commonly used word and study it, you'll find that looking back on the word will give you more knowledge about it, what it really means. wording is crucial to spreading the proper message to others because it gives the emphasis on what you are trying to portray and creates the vibration of a powerful feeling. Before you submit something to be read, ensure that when you read it, it creates mood-altering sensations. The reader must feel what you wrote, otherwise it is not alive and perhaps won't make much of an impact. The reason I chose not to diverge away from social media posts is because that is the commonly used way for word to be spread in today's age. Most personalities have grown their following thanks to social platforms, so it is inevitable that it is the single most powerful tool for spreading awareness. This is all I am familiar with in my line of work, so I know its potent effect on making an impact. The right combination of keywords is all it takes for someone to share your post and help make it viral. Just make sure those words are used efficiently. It's a simple reminder. A post that creates feeling, has intent behind it, acknowledges the various groups of readers, feeds the fan base, and doesn't differ from past beliefs, should be the ideal thing to share. Anything else is simply enough as is. However, do not expect that post to suddenly erupt into spotlight and be felt across many people as life-altering. But of course, we all love pointless and random feedback from time to time, regardless of its relevance. Share with the globe what you please, as the subject of messages is only important if you wish to spread knowledge and assist in elevating everyone's vibration. It is incomprehensible the impact of sharing something online. Your words do not just stick to those who have read it. The ones reading will have talked about it with their friends and family who have not read what you said, and they will talk about it with their relatives and onwards. Word of mouth will always be the most powerful tool, even beyond social media. In whichever way you choose to spread information, I trust that you will know what you are doing and have a suitable head on your shoulders. Being mindful of past mistakes shall push you further ahead, no matter what you decide to do. For if you are stuck in the same situation, there is no progression, thus no one to help bring insistent wisdom. Share what is relevant to elevating anyone's vibration by bringing your lovely divine light and newly collected information into realization. The fulfilling energy of your awareness will progress those reading, watching, or listening to the higher version of themselves. This effect spreads like a domino effect, uplifting each other permanently into a new self-sustaining life. Therefore, it's so vital to spread nothing but the greatest of intent behind anything you output, for life is a data collector and analyzer of its own kind. What one shares inside the input comes out of the output as a reflection to assist in guiding them to what they need to work on, whether you visualize the universe as a machine that knows it all, or as a godly force. The concept of life works one and the same, just explained differently. Focus in on what concept works best for you, and you'll be just fine. There is no right or wrong way to see the world, ever. Do the best you can in anything you do, grand or minor. Your highest intention will forever follow your back and help along the way. You may eventually stumble upon a situation where there is confrontation with someone or a group of people. Have no fear and explain yourself the best way possible, but do not dive too deeply into the reasonings for your message. Simply state your truth and have faith that someone will understand where you are coming from. If further conflict arises, back away and let the universe take care of the rest, for it is outside of your job to develop more tension. Your only position is to know why some people suddenly turn against you and grow from that experience by knowing what to do next time around. The output reflection of the universe shows you this conflict so that you may realize what you have inputted into it. God doesn't want too many negative inputs, so he will output back what you installed to deflect away any potential harm from his highest vibrational being. He wants what is best for you and himself, so he will help guide you through this simple process of understanding. He does this to ensure that the next time such a subject occurs, you will know how to handle it better and input a higher vibrational message. When people hear pure love being spoken, there can only be love sent back. Once you give even the most dangerous of creatures in the forest love, they will inevitably send it back to you. Animals have a magnetic mechanism within their being which senses energies of all kinds. The reason dogs bark at random space is because there is probably something lurking there outside of our dimensional sight. Trust in these creatures of the forest, for they have collected years of data themselves to share with the world. We are all working actively together, united, participating in the third dimensional life. Enjoy the process and go with the ebb and flow of how something feels. If sharing something with the world just doesn't feel right for a certain day, then keep it on hold for another time or never at all. After all, you know what is best for your higher self, and I know you do all along. Chapter 8, Never Lose Faith, page 86. Somehow, most of humanity tends to get by life based on their strongly held belief system. Beliefs are formulated through constant thought. When this same thought pattern develops and repeats for weeks on end, a new belief arises. A thought that becomes a belief is then engraved into the subconscious mind and becomes exceedingly difficult to remove. The ramification of such repetitive thinking is that it becomes a challenge to change someone's opinion about something. The reason why you cannot change the mind of a man who holds his beliefs firmly for years is because that person has impressed those same thought patterns to confirm his believed thinking. The subconscious is open and aware to new considerations and is easily fooled. It does not know the difference between right and wrong, good or bad, up and down. If you believe that the earth is flat and hold this faith strongly, then the globe will, to you, indeed be the shape of a pancake. One way to ingrain a thought in the lower consciousness is to instill repetition in your daily life. Whatever it is you want to hear, repeat the phrases in your mind or chant the words to yourself. The more repetitive and dull this exercise is, the better. Think of it like this. You are sitting in a lecture hall listening to a monotonous professor. You become increasingly bored, yawn several times throughout, and tap your pencil repeatedly. There is even a time when you drift into sleep, only to be awoken by the annoyed instructor telling you that you weren't paying attention. However, your subconscious is always there and is listening to everything in its surroundings, even while you were asleep. The teacher failed to understand that the student was simply bored, but was still processing what the instructor said to the class. When it comes to taking an exam, you may not remember every little detail the teacher mentioned. However, there will be some key things you suddenly are knowledgeable in, thanks to the power of the subconscious. The droning sounds of the instructor's voice peered into your mind as you were falling asleep, which deepened into the pits of your mind. Monotony is very repetitive, so it is a superior method of activating a belief. This is also why professors repeat several times the same lesson, and why I have probably repeated myself a few times in this book as well. As boring as it may seem to you, repetitive thought is one of the greatest tactics to helping you not only remember something, but to impart it in your brain as a solid belief. This is how most organizations spread their ideologies onto others. Every week, these people gather together to repeat what they have learned so that everyone in the group may impact this knowledge into their minds, being deviant from their old set of beliefs. The point of this is to reprogram everyone's mind into believing what the organization has to say. People inevitably follow forth, joining group after group and sharing the same beliefs with others. The more that join, the more impressionable and credible the organized group appears. The leader of the arrangement only has to say what is on their mind, and people will follow. These individuals will then repeat their beliefs and spread it onto other members of the group, and so on and so forth. This action expands into numerous minds until the whole process of programming becomes extremely complicated. If someone were to try and change a member's perception of the reality, it would be a challenge as they would have thousands, if not millions, of people backing up their same idea. This is one main reason why it can be a complex process to attempt to shift someone's perspective. However, I do hope through the power of this knowledge that someone will wake up to the realization of this method of programming and understand that everyone is entitled to their opinion. Just because someone seems more powerful and is deemed a leader does not mean they are accurate in their perception of life. Your job on earth is to find your significance and hold truth only what you feel is closest to the truth of the one and only source. If something ever feels even in the slightest wrong for your well-being, then that is perhaps not the path you should follow. Many are so imprinted in the belief that they must work hard and suffer to get through life and make big things happen. Although many influential names revolving around our minds did have to go through turbulent times, it is not always the case. The reason why influential people stick to our brains more is because we relate to their past suffering. Someone who did not have to work hard and made a huge impression on others does not revolve as an influential person because they appear lazier and more redundant. We do not appreciate or respect this person because they had it easy and were perhaps fed with a silver spoon. What most fail to realize is that even these people have had to face their set of tasks and challenges, which we all go through. The ultimate reality is that we all must go back home to where we come from when we are finished with our reality here. There's no relevancy to how much one person does here, as we all collectively make an impression on this earthly plane. You are one in nearly 8 billion bouncing the same wave in the ocean of existence. The stronger the frequency in which you resonate, the larger the wave. If you expand your vibration enough to create giant wavelengths, there will appear to be more influence around you. However, you are only pushing around more water to help create more waves for others. All that water must go somewhere, and this liquid helps to push and expand other waves to places themselves and impact others elsewhere. I know it may be hard to visualize, however, the point is that it takes one gigantic wave to make a difference among other people or waves. Imagine there are no waves, there would be no one to help push others to formulate into ripples, correct? That is when the unity force comes into action and spreads his knowledge onto one potential wave. This potential energy picks up on this newly founded awareness and begins to develop into a current. Other entities in the water pick up on this drift and develop into their own little movements. It just takes one person to begin spreading their godly energy onto others, and that person is what we deem influential. As collectors of data, what we witness is picked up and processed in our multifaceted brain system. When someone makes a large wave, somebody will eventually pick up on that frequency and want to make it their own. Like parrots in a jungle, humans want to be involved and feel admired through the process of imitation. What we see, we reflect in hopes of relating to someone who is picking up on the same vibrations as we are. Those who wish to stay in still water may do so of their own free will, and no one is going to push them into changing their patterns. Eventually, the God force will want to alter a certain part of his body, so change is bound to happen, whether we wish of it or not. If someone were to stay in the same vibration for a prolonged period, God would eventually shift them unconsciously to what frequency they should be resonating on. Think of it like a patch update on a video game. The developer will want to improve their skills so that they are able to send out updates to improve the performance of the game. They will correct errors found in the next upgrade and send out an installation button so players may shift their computer's intelligence to be able to perform in the new virtual world. If one were to want to play the game, they would have to install the new version, or their computer wouldn't be able to perform the requested task. God pushes us just as the developer would to improve their playing field. His players in his world are almost instantly upgraded to shift into the newer alignment, which ultimately shifts his vibrations as well. In order to play the game of life, one must automatically change the frequency to update to the new frequencies around them. Change must occur so that we may be as close to God as possible. He wants us to improve so that he may improve himself and his well-being. What appears to be a loss or drastic difference is only a belief system forced upon you through years of struggling ideologies, amongst others. You couldn't help the fact that when you were 5 years old, you were taught never to communicate with strangers. This fear-based thought is so deeply rooted in our minds that we typically don't even look at people in the eye unless we are told to do so. We feel so out of place and disconnected that it is no wonder some of us feel of a lower vibration than others. Faith is the one and only key to permanently changing your frequency to the newly intended one. The wavelength in which God has intended for us all along is here, and we are able to change ourselves to be connected to this. Slowly but surely, one by one, we are helping each other make alterations in the universe so that God may notice and begin to break free our current reality. Just like with the developer, if enough players complain about the game, the creator will be forced to do something about the world and send out updates to improve in performance. Although complaining is not the ideal method of bringing about change, being mindful of your surroundings and how you can clear away anything that doesn't serve you is a surefire method of attaining freedom. God always notices these requests and will eventually bring to you what is best as part of his existence. You are a part of his temple and are always being taken care of. He is a loving force that does not create fear or cause harm unless it is to help guide you into learning something. Through the pain. After all, we shine our light the most through our suffering and appear more inspirational once we go through this ordeal. That is why I've mentioned that it is so urgent to spread the right message onto others, so that you may begin to create a wave to impact other beliefs, for faith is what holds everything together. Without a sturdy belief, we feel forever lost in a speck of dust floating in the darkness of space. Your message spreads by making waves, which influences others. Who pick up on your energies. Some may choose to ignore the push of your wave, and some will follow you for your beliefs and thus impress those ideologies upon themselves. The more they join in on your messages, the more influence you cause, creating larger waves with each concurrent follower. Oh, I just want to take a moment. You guys have no idea how much I cried writing this. Sometimes certain people that don't appear influential but make drastic changes are intended to exist to do their course of work. Our viewpoints of these people are impressed upon the influencer due to a mass of belief systems trying to influence us into believing differently about them. Next time you hear of someone who creates a driving force of change in any way, but appear overall as having a bad image, ensure that you maintain your level of thinking in check. Was this opinion of the influencer one developed through other opinions, or do you truly hold it your own? It will be nearly impossible to trace back to the time your friend told you that they thought all celebrities were idle and unintelligent. You acknowledge what your friend said, but did it enter your subconscious as a belief? Try and trace back these moments and discover what you really consider and what is just someone else's thought pattern. I would recommend writing these things down to give you a true and proportionate view on your thoughts. The way of thinking can be made various through the power of grasping that our everyday behavior is all based upon past influences of any sort. Peeling back the concentric layers of reality will help to unfold your true discovery and thus your ultimate aligned purpose. Authenticity is found through years of seeking out what does not show itself to us. These waves of influence, downloads from God, and programming of groups do not portray themselves as physical objects, so it becomes an enlightenment when we see what is masked. Anything that shows itself through our eyes is only of the physical body of life, and represents itself through the reflection of our past experiences. These tangible objects are not the meaning of everything, and in no way represent what else is out there in the universe. We are left here to be confused, so that we may have minds of our own to discover what exists. It is part of our job here not only to be endlessly curious, but to realize God's plan all along and help spread this light-loving belief. For some, I recommend considering what I'd say as just a belief of my own, and leave the rest to expand your way of thinking. Whatever the belief you hold so dearly to your heart is what you should continue connecting with. The struggle originates when one loses their faith and feels empty inside. One should never be afraid of their life when the faith is there. I remember a time when I was depressed. Had nothing positive to say and was in a complete slump. A friend that sat next to me on the school bus each morning took one good look at me with me enduringly. The way she mentioned it was discreet, but it was enough to etch into my mind for good. The funny thing is, I don't think she realized how much of an impact that simple suggestion had on me. She created a large ripple wave in that one utter, which helped change my life eternally. At first, I felt offended by what she said. I took it personally and couldn't stop thinking about her reference. For the entire school day. Later, I realized that she had the best of intent for me and couldn't express it any other way than that without deeming herself too judgmental of my situation. On another day, she had also suggested something that made me realize our power is held within our brains all along. I was feeling cheerless and exhausted. It was a rainy and gloomy morning, and I went on the bus to take a short nap before arriving at school. A few stops later, my friend sat next to me and slapped my shoulder. Ouch, what was that for? I asked. Wake up, Tony, you're in a slump again, she implied. I recalled the moment she mentioned having faith and how much I changed my way of thinking since then. I'm feeling tired, I'm not here for your opinion, I said. Well, wake up then, she exclaimed. Wake up, I thought to myself. How could I just wake up when I've been studying until 2 a.m. and had a huge argument with my family and I've been thinking about it all night? I had every right to be exhausted, and there was no other way of looking around it. She giggled and smiled at me. She then said, if you feel tired, just tell yourself that you're awake. It works every time. I was simply stunned. How could it be that simple all along? How does she acquire all her wisdom at such a young age? She was the type of girl who looked much older than her years and spoke like she was grown. I felt drawn to her as a friend early on because I appreciated the different outlook on life. It was refreshing to see someone who went through many stormy days and grew to be their own independently thinking person. I saw endless strength and courage within her that I did not realize when we first began talking to each other. I would be quite annoyed at how many times she was right about something, because my own stubborn-minded beliefs would take me places where I would view the world as corrupt and ill-willed. There were moments I thought that everyone was against me, and there was no other way around it. Looking back, I know it was all my belief system that was self-caused through weakness. I had no faith in anything, so life kept throwing me reasons to believe in something that was not real. This friend held much faith, regardless of her parents' divorce at such a young age, and regardless of all the bullies making fun of her weight. Beyond all her struggles, which there were plenty more, she withdrew from the belief that she was less than good enough. I saw strength through her because of her power to hold strong her beliefs and disregard others' opinions. She made me realize the idea of having faith that everything will be okay overall, and our minds have a way of playing tricks on us. I used to look at her as such a negative person because she too would have her moments of victimization and superiority. I looked past all of that because she was intended to be a part of my life to help uplift my vibration to where I'm meant to be. Had she not been there in my moments of depression, I probably would not be here telling you my story. I'm also not the judgmental person I used to be, so it would feel wrong for me to view her as a bad person. She was trying to help all along, even if it was unintentionally based. God had her in my plan for the purpose of realizing what not to become and learning through others how to be the best I could. That friend went through all her struggles of teenagerhood through the power of faith and her strongly held beliefs. She held her stature and fortitude through this, but I only saw her embedded pain and heavily burdensome emotions. Now I see that which was in her all along. The bullies that were tormenting her, judging her day after day, were all for a part of the limitless plan of life. She was intended to exist to make others realize the bravery that can exist in mankind. Had I stepped a day in her shoes, I could can imagine what she must have felt like for someone to be humiliated constantly for their looks, all while maintaining a confident composure, is the strongest admirable quality that I could imagine someone have. It was almost as if she had trained herself to have this faith and positive outlook. To cope with the pain of daily life, she formed a way of survival to maintain her mental health. There was something she knew about the capability within her mind that guided her to get through school. I think about her often when I'm faced with a challenge that deems itself unbearable. I remember that my view on that difficulty is only my perception of it, not the fact. If faith can hold someone together through any complexity, it has the control to guide us to being one with the ever-evolving universe. If we see the power inside of us instead of the struggle, that is when faith takes over and creates more positive belief systems. Confirmation of negative beliefs only creates more of these thoughts, which then repetitively confirm themselves one after the other. Give forte to only that which is for your higher greatness, and acknowledge why other lower vibrational beliefs may exist within you. Keep them in check in a timely manner before they expand to become harder to fend off. Faithfulness will forever be the glue that binds everything together and give us a greater understanding. By never letting go of your devotion to the unity, you will release any toxic emotions out of the door. Emotions are caused by prolonged periods of certain beliefs, which come about through different experiences. You will know one belief from the other when a different emotion appears inside. Base the beliefs from how you feel when you think about them. When something creates sorrow, regret, frustration, or terror, know that these beliefs are ones of lower vibration and should be reconsidered in order to elevate you to the higher states of being. These emotions are four of the major states of depressing your being from elevating higher. Compose how you feel, pen to page, and determine how you may get rid of these pesky feelings from coming in your temple again. Treat yourself like a guard to the gate of your well-being. Why would you allow in creatures that would destroy you if you had an appreciation for yourself through love? Think back to the video game analogy where life is a virtual reality. The goal is to maintain your health and thus livelihood. Why would you purposely run into the opponents to harm your avatar? You can try to fight off the enemy players. However, you are 1 against 100 in the case of emotions. The best strategy would be to acknowledge their existence, but walk away from what doesn't serve your chances of maintaining survival. These emotions will always be there, ready to come up and attack us when we believe in them strongly enough. However, in due time, you will notice them fading in the distance the further away you walk. To get to the path you need to take as an avatar in this game of life, you are led to walk around the opponents and take another trail. The further you walk, the less you see of the enemies, until they are mere blurry dots. We treat our inner subconscious emotions the same way and tend to just move away from thinking about them. The more focus we keep on the inner demons, the greater their strength becomes. There were several periods where I had my biggest slumps, thanks to the fact that I was only thinking upon the darkness. Had I just chosen to walk away and focus on the light within, things would have shifted even quicker for me. Yet again, those times were meant to happen. Otherwise, I wouldn't know the difference between being lost and following the inner guidance I had. This navigation tool is given to us before we come down to this planet, so we may never feel truly forgotten. So many have mistaken their time here for something so dark, when really it was just the person running into enemy players all along. Know that these many avatars in our head never have any domination over us and will not grow unless we allow them to. You have the full-fledged right to stop what you don't seek for. Through this notion, your faith maintains its verve and shall never walk away from